crafty friends, welcome back. This is Jenny from Polly's Paper Studio. Today I'm creating, especially for Authentique Papers, I'm using the gorgeous Rejoice collection to create this gatefold Christmas greeting card. So stick with me and we'll make this together. Here's that Rejoice collection, and I just wanted to show you real quickly that if you love traditional Christmas, this is going to be a great collection for you. It has all those beautiful reds and greens, but the patterns are a little more updated and modern. And of course they still have the plaid, so that makes me happy. This has a ton of different patterns in it, lots of different scales. They work really well together, so you're gonna have a lot of fun mixing and matching these patterns. I'm also using the enhancements. So this is basically an entire paper pad of journal cut apart. So that's like winning the cut apart jackpot. Some for pet lovers, some that just like the scripty fonts, or some for baking. And there's just so much variety in here. You're gonna find something that will work well for you. I've got my paper here and it is cut at 11 inches. I want to make basically a gatefold card, but it will overlap just a little. So I've got 11 inches by 6.5. My first score is going to be at 3 inches. And then because my card is 5 inches wide, I need to make my next score at 8. Go ahead and fold those over and use your bone folder to reinforce that crease to get a nice crisp edge. I'm using 65 pound weight cardstock for this because it will be covered in so many layers that it will be very, very sturdy. So here's the blank card ready to add all my layers to. I'm gonna work on the inside of my card first and get that finished. Here is that pattern paper, and I'm using the crocodile cardstock. This is from Spectrum, and it is also from Authentique Papers, so you know it's going to match perfectly. I've got my back piece here, and then I've got a small section for a sentiment to be added, so I've used just nice white cardstock for that and use the same matting. I'll use this double-sided adhesive tape today. You could use glue if you feel more comfortable with that. I'll just hold down the side, add this right to the center. Here's my side panels, and I'm just going to use a companion pattern for that and the same matting. The nice thing about this pattern card is that once you've got your measurements, they're going to be the same for all of the moving parts, so that will make it easier to get all of your cutting done. And this just goes here on the side. This would look equally nice, I think, with red matting. Here is the second side. Did you hear the heat just kick on? It's like 7 degrees today. Now, you don't want to add too many other layers for the inside of the card unless you add a little extra space on your score lines so that you will leave room to accommodate all that extra paper. So here's the inside, and you see that it overlaps just a bit. For the front side of these folding sections, I have basically the same layout. I'm using that same grain cardstock and matting this with 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, and then I've cut an additional piece of the 8x8 pattern paper, so the scale is much smaller, just a companion pattern, and I used that same green cardstock at the top so that I would separate those busy patterns from each other. So here's just one extra layer than the inside ones. So I've got one for each side, and here's one for this side. You can imagine how heavy and thick this card is getting with so many layers. Bring in my trim. I've got a really sweet coordinating green check here, and I'm going to add this just wrapped around the top. I'm going to center that and fix it down with a little bit of glue. Do you want to add this before the next layer because you want to capture that trim underneath the focal point so that it will tie correctly. Now let's begin working on the focal image. I have this beautiful polka dot pattern that I cut with my Cherryland Design coved rectangle, and I put a border of that same green cardstock around so that it would have a nice finished edge. And then I put my adhesive only on this portion so that I won't accidentally stick this card front together, and add that right to the center. Now when you see that it's open, it still has a nice finished back on it because that cardstock does have a subtle pattern, so that will look nice even when it's open. I've got this beautiful gold doily, and I'm just going to add that and top it with a small die cut of these beautiful little stars. So I think I want to be aware of where those stars are going to fall so that I can get the maximum amount of them showing. Now I have my focal image, and this Santa was part of one of the enhancement cut aparts. So this was a 3x4 card. I fussy cut that whole image out, and then I put that popped up on foam, and I'm going to add some wet adhesive to the foam, to the double-sided adhesive tape already on there, and flip that guy around and add him to the front. I've got this small sentiment. This came from the sticker sheet. I just added it to some 110-pound cardstock and then clipped it back out so that it would be much more sturdy. And then I've just put a little bit of double-sided adhesive on the back to stick that down. Last but not least is my flower arrangement. I've just made this with red cardstock and glitter cardstock, and then added some die cut leaves and loopy twine bows, and I'm going to add that right here. I'm being careful not to cover that sentiment up. So that is all for our gatefold Christmas greeting card created with the Rejoice collection from Authentique Papers. Check the description below for links to this collection, as well as all of our social media handles. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. And if you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye!